So, welcome to you all to the second day. Well, should we say second session? Well, we call it day two, even though it's not successive days, but day two of the Ireland SPTTT. So, I will hand over now to Sister Mary Diaz, who is leading us in the prayer and devotion to take it from here. Over to you, Mary.
Thank you. This is actually my second session today because I listened to Friday's session this morning.
Okay.
And then after that, I went to have my fourth COVID test. Was a terrible traffic jam. She told me to sit in my car. We used to have to sit in
when Satan came to Jesus,
they wouldn't let you go, but she told me to sit in my car for 15 minutes. And I thought, I haven't got time. I've literally just got in and made a cup of tea.
Okay. Wow.
So good to be here with you. But life can be very unpredictable, can't it? You know, there's times with times of joy, when we're so happy and good things happen, and then sorrowful times. Sometimes we have amazing blessings.
If you want to have a seriously sexy body, drink a cup of this blue mineral.
Threaten to destroy us. But I want to tell you a story today. It's quite well known, but hopefully some of you won't know it. It's the story behind a very well-known hymn, which I hope Tim will play for us later. And Tim, if you feel it's going on too long, just stop it, because I can't remember how long it was. The hymn is called "It Is Well With My Soul." And the story behind it happened 150 years ago and centers around the man who wrote it. His name was Horatio Spafford, and he lived in North America. He was a successful attorney. He was an investor. He had a lot of money, but then he lost a lot of money in a fire in Chicago in 1871. And that same year, he and his wife had 5 daughters and a 4-year-old son who died during that same year that he lost a lot of money. The son died of scarlet fever, and the family was obviously at a very low ebb. And Horatio thought he'd give them a treat, and they could go on a trip to England.
Well, before you go,
so he didn't lose all his money. He paid for his wife and 4 daughters to go on a boat.
You may not know.
Airplanes in the 1800s. Go on a boat to England, and he had got some important business to finish, and so he was going to follow them later on. Sometime during the crossing of the Atlantic Ocean, that boat was involved in a terrible collision with another boat and sank. And 200 people on that boat died, out of whom 4 were Horatio Spafford's daughters. But his wife, Anna, did survive. And when Anna arrived in England, she sent her husband a telegram that began, "Saved alone, what shall I do?" And immediately Horatio set sail for England. And at one point during his voyage, the captain of the ship, who was aware of the tragedy that had struck the Spafford family, he called up Horatio to tell him that they were actually passing over the place where the boat had sunk and where his daughters had died. So Horatio was standing on the deck thinking about his daughters, but he found that instead of being bowed down by grief, his head was full of words of comfort and his heart was full of hope. And he found himself writing down words that were in his heart. And from this, he wrote the well-known hymn, which starts, "When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll. Whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to know, it is well with my soul." Are you able to play it now, Tim?
Yes.
And I'll speak a bit afterwards.
When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea
soul.
Though Satan should buffet, though trials
Should come.
this rest assurance control. That God, yes, He has regarded my helpless estate and has shed His own blood for my soul. It is
His word. My soul.
my sin. Oh, the bliss of this glorious thought. I thought my sin not in part, but the whole. Every bit, all of it. Is nailed to the cross, and I with my soul sing it as well. It is with my soul.
Thank you. So we can't always say or even feel that all is well in every part of our lives. We're always going to face storms and tragedies, but we can find faith in our loving God, and we can trust that He will help us. And like Horatio, we can say, "It is well with my soul." And I can testify this personally. My husband, Jeff, who some of you knew, died quite suddenly just over 4 years ago now. And 15 months earlier, we'd moved from our home in South Wales, where we'd lived for many years, and we were living on the beautiful island of Anglesey in North Wales. And then suddenly I found myself there alone, with the people that I knew best and who loved me several miles away. But God is good. He was there beside me all the time. And I can honestly say that through all the planning and organizing of Jeff's funeral and his the service of Thanksgiving for his life, and then selling my bungalow up there and finding somewhere to move back to down in South Wales so I could be more accessible to my family and my friends. But it really was and still is well with my soul. So just let's pray now. Father, thank you that you are always with us through the good times and those times when everything seems to be so difficult. As we come together now to continue with this amazing course, we ask that you will inspire the trainers and that we, the participants, will listen with clear minds and will take part appropriately when asked. Lord, bless this time together abundantly, and may all be well with our souls. Amen.
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 And amen.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah. Thank you all once again for joining us in the second day of the Ireland SPTTT. Welcome, Brother Robert, Brother Brown, Sister Putsele. So Brother Tembo, Sister Christelle, Sister Alette, Sister Amanda, Sister Mona, and Sister Mary, of course, who shared the devotion, and Sister Beatrix and Sister Lata. May the Lord bless all of us richly as we get into the second day of the training. Just to say up front that some trainers may be leaving earlier before the training. Alette and myself are having another saline presentation in Africa with a team in West Africa. It's online, of course. That's in about 2 hours into the training. So the last 1 hour, we may not be fully available. Mona is also part of that meeting, representing Metna and North Africa. But you will be in good hands with Lata. She will be here till the end of the training. And of course, the other apprentices will be available as well. So you won't lose anything. Puteleso may also have to leave a bit early, but I believe we'll still have a good experience with the training, and the Lord will bless us all. So without further ado, I think we'll just go into the training, and Mona will be sharing the slides. I didn't prepare you for this latter, but in 3 minutes, latter, is it possible that you just summarize what we did during the first session? 3 minutes is not a lot of time, but it's just a quick summary before we get into what we have to do today.
Okay. So we looked at 3 sessions. On day 1, we looked at the first session, which was the introduction. And just to organize things in your mind, in the introduction section, we looked at 2 parts. The first part was the vision, the need, and the opportunity at a global level. And when you train, you can also think of it at a local level. You know, the vision, the need, and the opportunity. That was the first section of the introduction. In the second section, we were moving into the saline process, and we looked at partnership, process, and people. So that was the introduction section, and I believe all of us have understood that section very well. Then we said that for the SPTTT, we're going to look at 4 goals or 4H, which starts with the alphabet H. And first is the heart goal, head, hand, and habit. So we said we have the trainer's manual, and the first H and the last H is the front and the back of this. I mean, it's before and after the trainer's manual. So the heart goal is before we get into the trainer's manual, and the habit goal is after we finish the trainer's manual. So we didn't open the trainer's manual during the heart. And we reminded that spiritual vitality is the most important thing as a trainer. Spiritual vitality. There is no compromise. There are no 2 ways about it. Spiritual vitality is what we want to underline, bold, italics, 1,000 times underline. Spiritual vitality. So the heart goal is a commitment to our Lord and commitment to the global movement, which is our privilege at this time and age to be partnering with people who across the globe in the Great Commission of our Lord. So heart goal is commitment to God and commitment to the global saline movement. When it comes to the head goal, it's we're trying to understand everything in the mind, the knowledge. So we looked at the head goal, and this is when we opened the trainer's manual. So when we opened the trainer's manual, we said, okay, this is 220 pages, but we want to make this small into pieces so that we understand it better. So the trainer's manual has got 5 sections. And we will not look at what are those sections now, but one thing we need to understand is the first section is the trainer preparation, which is corresponding with the head goal. So the head goal corresponds with the trainer preparation of the trainer's manual. And there again, in the first section of the head goal, trainer preparation, that's page numbers 8 to 26. But what is there in this page? What is there in these pages 8 to 26? We looked at it again as 3 sections. The first section was where to begin, and we kind of understood how to start, how to begin, what are the terminologies to use. The second section, we looked at how to be an effective trainer. And, the third section, we looked at what is the support available for the trainers. So those were the 3 sections we saw in the trainer preparation, which is equal to the head goal. And then we have to look at the saline online community, which we didn't look at. We looked at the trainer responsibilities before, during, and after. So that's 4 minutes, Tim. Is that a good place for you to come in?
Thank you so much, Lata. Thank you so much, Lata. You summarized it so well, so beautifully, and made it so simple. Thank you so much. I wish you could just go on and on and on. Okay. So just to continue from where we left off the last time. So training session checklist, you will find that from page 24 and 25 of the trainer's manual. And you will notice for each slide in the PowerPoint, there is always a reference to the appropriate section of the trainer's manual where you will get more information and more detail about what that section is talking about. And if you go to that part of the manual, you will see the 10 steps. I think the last time we looked at the 10 steps that are necessary or that needs to be followed for one to start the saline process in a new location. So please go back to the manual because, as you know, the manual is quite big and it is not possible within the limited time we have to go into everything in detail. But you can go through and see what those 10 steps are that needs to be followed to give a saline training in a location where it hasn't been done before. So once the 10 steps are accomplished, the next step here is to make sure that you work in a team that will pray together, plan together, organize the training together, handle logistics, and just work together to make the training process a success. So prayer is a very vital part of the process. Then you have the resources as well, and most of the resources that are needed, you have them available in the Saline online community platform, which henceforth we shall refer to as the SOC. So there you will get the training manual, the participants workbook, the training certificates, the PowerPoint, and all the other materials and resources, including videos that will help you as you prepare for the training as facilitators. And then on the SOC as well, as we go along, you will see we will show you what you need to do, how you need to create an event before the training, and how you're going to collect the information on the Excel spreadsheet, which is showing on the screen at the moment, that you will use to complete your report at the end of the training. Now, you will let me explain the difference between the fields we have on the screen right now and the one you collect during registration. When participants are registering, your registration form, whether it's paper-based or whether it's online, it should have sufficient information that you will use to complete your report at the end of the training, like the name, the surname, the email, the city, the profession, age range, and sometimes denomination, and so on. So details like that all need to be captured. But you are not going to upload all of that detail when you are submitting your report online. You only need 3 fields in a specific order, just like you see on the screen. The first column, 3 columns. The first column is a column for the email, and then the next column, the first name, and the third column, the surname. These are the only information that is required when you are submitting your report online at the end of a training, and also when you are going to activate the follow-up email, and when you are going to click on that button that will activate that you will send the invitation for the people that you have trained to connect onto the SOC. So it is the same spreadsheet with only 3 columns: email address, first name, last name, in that order, nothing more. If it's not in this specific order, the system on the SOC will not accept it, it will reject it. So it has to be in this specific order. And you can download the template of this spreadsheet in the SOC, and I'm going to take us to show us how to do that at the relevant, when we get to the relevant section. Okay, so I think the last time we talked about registration. If there's a registration fee involved, please let participants know ahead of time how much is going to be, the method of payment, so that there's no confusion, okay? And also let them know, for instance, if it's a face-to-face training, is there going to be tea and lunch and things like that? Are they paying for the workbooks, or are they going to print the workbooks themselves? So all of those should be clear when you send out invitation for people to register and attend the training. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, now let me talk about, because this is also part of the training session checklists, issues around accommodation and venue. And we talked a bit about this in day 1 of the training. Accommodation, venue. So is it going to be a 1-day event, or is it going to be more than 1 day? Are participants going to be sleeping over? What is the arrangement? Will accommodation be included? Who pays for the accommodation? Is it part of the registration, or are participants going to look for accommodation themselves? Is transport going to be covered? So all of this need to be very clear. And also the training material need to be sent out ahead of time. Before COVID, when we do the training, we include the cost of the training material in the registration, and then we print the workbooks and hand them over to the participants when they come for the training. I want to say something about printing the workbooks. It is very important that when you print, make sure, or you do photocopies, that the photocopies are very clear and properly bound, not loose pages. Okay, it's important to have very clear photocopies and not just cheap photocopies. You know, sometimes, especially in some of our countries here in Africa, some of the machines are not too good, and so you find the photocopies with dark lines covering some of the letterings, and so one is not able to decipher exactly what is in some of the pages because of those dark photocopy lines. So we should try to avoid that and rather use good photocopiers, so that the letters are not obscured, they are not covered by dark lines, because when people come for training and the training material, some of the pages are not very clear, that creates a bit of distraction. So we want to avoid every kind of distraction, invest in looking for good a printer or a photocopier, and make very good clear copies and have it very nicely bound so that it can be presentable. Okay. Okay, then issues around projector, PowerPoint, computer, somebody should be responsible for that. I recommend that you have someone in your team who can handle all the IT issues, because sometimes problems do arise. I remember once we went to Mauritius for training, and the system they used there, the wireless projection, I had never used that system before. I was used to the system where you connect your laptop directly through a cable to the projector and then you project. But when we got to Mauritius, the first time I saw that the laptop is here and there's a room somewhere from where they set it up wirelessly and they project, and I had no idea how that works. And we had the training in a church venue, and the person who does it for them was not around. So we spent the whole of the first day fiddling with that stuff. We couldn't get it right. So we had to improvise. It was only the second day that we managed to figure out the wireless connection between the laptop and the projector and the screen and all of that. So it's always good to have someone handy who is good with PowerPoint, projector, laptops, because technical issues do arise. And you don't want to spend 30 minutes, 45 minutes solving technical issues, because that is a waste of time and you want to solve problems quickly. It's also always a good idea to have a backup plan. Once we went to a country in East Africa, and during the training, the projector just packed up. I think what happened was that there was a power surge, and so it damaged the projector. So for that day, we were left without a backup. And so we had to manage until the next day. And since that incident, each time I travel, I always travel with my small data projector that can fit into my bag quite easily. And that is my backup plan. So I never have to get into that kind of issue again. So always think of what can go wrong and have a plan B, because things do go wrong at the time you least expect. And it happens both for online events and for face-to-face events. Okay, so during the training, prayer is important. Just like we did, Mary led us into a time of devotion and prayer. So team connection and debriefs. And we do the debriefs usually, we take some time before the meeting to pray and to do the final preparations. And then after each day of training, we take some time also to do some debriefing and talk about things that went well. And if there are things that didn't go too well, we can talk about how to fix them for next time. And then the logistics and schedule management. The schedule now, I think, has to do with the way the slides are presented and who presents what slide. And you can see that there are lots of facilitators in this training, and we are located in different countries. And so the way we get it right for each person to know what they need to present is this schedule, like the one you see on the screen, that has a column for the day and the time, the topics and the slides, and then the title of each of the slides, and the slide number, and also the duration, and the presenter. So that column, the second to the last column that has names, that column is very important. So we send this schedule out ahead of time to each of the facilitators. And we ask each facilitator to indicate which slide they are going to present. So one person will be responsible for collating all of that information. Once each presenter have put their names beside the slides they're going to present, they email it back to that one person, and the person will now organize it in such a way that there's no no two people clashing on choosing the same slide. So it's spread out evenly based on the slides that each facilitator has chosen. So one final document is then produced, which is now emailed back to each of the facilitators so that each one can see exactly which slide they'll be presenting. And based on that, they can now go and pray and prepare. And once it's their turn, they present the slide. Now, this is very important for us as facilitators. If you don't do this, then there will be confusion. Who does what? Who does what? In some countries, I've seen some trainers, they like to do maybe one presenter will do slide 1 to 5, the next one will do 10 to 20, or some can say, okay, I will do the whole of question 1, and some other person will say, okay, I will do question 2, and someone else will do question 3. But not everyone is good at presenting everything. And so the method I prefer is for each one to choose where they can express themselves the most, where they feel that they are what they are good at. So they choose the slides they are very good at and they can present very, very well. So we put them in that slide so that they can prayerfully present those slides that they feel that they are more comfortable with. I usually do not like to allocate slides to people except the slides that they have chosen themselves and that they are comfortable with. And that's very important. And especially when they are beginners or they are apprentices, you don't want to give them too much. So you give them a little at a time to help build their confidence. Next time you have a training, you can give them more and more and more. Okay, but this is the slide schedule that we use in preparing as facilitators. So each facilitator should have a copy of this so that they know exactly which slides they will be presenting during the training. Next slide, please, Mona. Okay. Now, after the training, as facilitators, you come together to pray and thank God for the day. And of course, you do your team debriefing. Even for this team, we had to debrief on Tuesday, not on the day of the training, but on Tuesday, 2 days ago. That is very important. So if there are things that didn't go too well, that's the time to talk about it and to see how to fix it for the next session. Okay, so the debriefing time is very important. Then what do you do after the training on the SOC, the Saline Online Community? There are a number of things that as a trainer you are required to do. And if you don't do them, your job as a trainer is not complete. So your job does not end with the training event per se. So there are a little bit of admin you need to do at the end of the training, which also means that you need access to the SOC. As a trainer, make sure your password is working and you have access to the SOC. If you don't, please contact IHS Global and make sure that you can access your profile on the Saline Online Community, because you will need to submit your training report, which we call the evaluation. Okay, and that helps IHS Global to know exactly how the training went. It's important for them to keep record of every single event. Remember, you created the event at the beginning of the training, and after the training, you go to that event you created. You're going to complete your report, which we call the evaluation. The second thing you do, and I'm going to show us how to do it, is to invite the participants you have trained. You invite them to the SOC so that they can register, connect, and also have access to all the resources and material on the SOC and connect to that online community. So there are lots of things they can do on the SOC. I will take us through in a moment so we can see what they can do. So submit your training evaluation, which is the report on the training. Send the invite to the participants so that they can connect on the SOC, and then activate the follow-up emails. To do that, remember you need that database with 3 columns: email address, first name, surname. 3 columns, nothing more. That's what you use to send the invites and to start your follow-up, okay? And this is a computer-generated follow-up which they receive over a period of 18 months, okay? Now, once that is complete, then your job as a trainer, as far as the SOC is concerned, is complete. IHS Global will now receive the full report of the training you've given. Participants have been invited to the SOC. Participants have also started, you've activated the follow-up emails, which participants will start receiving. First, they get an email once a week, then once every 2 weeks, I think, then once a month, once every 3 months, until 18 months is complete. And of course, it doesn't end there. There's continuous follow-up and coaching. And sometimes, like with the email, the WhatsApp group that you formed for the training, there's a lot you can do after the training using that WhatsApp group, sending out information. IHS Global does conduct webinars every now and again, and that can be useful to both witnesses and trainers. So you can post that on the email, on the WhatsApp group. And some people, sometimes they struggle with their emails, so they don't receive the follow-up material. And in some countries, they take that and post it on the WhatsApp as well, so that those who struggle with their email can also get it through WhatsApp. There's a lot of community we build around WhatsApp. Okay, I'll talk about those later. But there's need for continuous follow-up and coaching. In Sub-Saharan Africa, we meet once a month amongst us trainers for coaching sessions. So we pray, we keep a list of people we have trained, we arrange follow-up for such people, we contact them using different means, phones, emails. Please go back to the previous slide. And we also advertise upcoming events on those WhatsApp groups to also encourage those who have been trained to practice the saline process principles. And those who have been trained as trainers, it also encourages them to organize their own training events. And if there's a trainer somewhere that needs assistance, that needs help, is struggling to download the material, or has some difficulty and needs help from the community, WhatsApp is a very quick way to ask for help. So that's why we keep the WhatsApp groups after the meeting, after the training. And sometimes you can organize in-person events for follow-up. In some countries, at the end of the face-to-face training, they organize a once-a-month meeting for like a refresher, where they come and talk about the testimonies of what has happened after they have used the saline process principles following their training. So they can share testimonies, challenges, and encourage one another, and continue with fellowship and follow up in a face-to-face meeting. But there's a lot we can do on the Saline Online community, and I'm going to take us there in a moment and show us what the platform looks like and the various aspects that are accessible to us. So go to the next slide, please, Mona. Okay. We have talked about, this is the big list or the database. This is not the one you upload. This is just the one you use to collect the necessary information that you will use to prepare your report at the end of the training. But after the training, you need to clean this up and have a second database that contains only the email address, the first name, and the surname, okay? Because that is the one that you upload on the SOC. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'm going to take us now to the Saline Online community and show us a few things that we can do online. So if you can stop sharing, Mona, so that I can share slide from here. Let me quickly open the SOC. Then I will show us what we need to do before a training and how to create an event I'm sharing slide now. Okay. Okay. So now I'm logging into the SOC. There we go. Can we see the screen? It says my screen sharing is paused. Let me resume. Okay, I'll stop and share again. Great. So I've logged into my profile on the SOC, and this is the dashboard. On the left here, you will see we have the dashboard. This is where if you want to change your password, you can do it from the, let's see, no, not from the dashboard. Okay, no, you go to profile up here. That's where you can change your password if you need to do so under profile. So it has your email address. You can change your password or whatever else, your phone number or anything else you wish to change. You can do it from the dashboard. Here under news, it tells you about some of the events happening in the Saline community, upcoming events, upcoming webinars, and so on. Events. Now, this is an important one for trainers. Events. Because this is where you go to create your training event. So if you have a training online, you have a training and you wish to create that training event, put it on the SOC. There are two ways you do that. So the first way is to go to events, and the second way is to go to manage events right here at the top. I'm going to show you both methods because you will need them as a trainer. So if I click on events, it brings me to this page. And then on the right hand side here, I will click submit an event. Submit an event. And then it will open this page where I will enter the details of the event that I wish to submit. I can select the type of event. Let's say a saline process witness training. Event title, I can say first SPWT, or let's just say SPWT in London, for instance. So what would be the format? Let's say it's an online event. So a virtual event, we choose virtual. Then we choose the start date. Let's say the start date is in November. So we go to November, let's say it's a 2-day event, Friday and Saturday, November 25th and 26th. So the start date will be 25th of November. Start time, let's say 10 a.m. London time. 10, this should be a.m. And the end date will be the next day, which will be November 26th. Let's go to November 26th, which is a Saturday, ending at 5 p.m. 0500 p.m. London time. So under description, I can type the details of the event, but it's not a compulsory field, so I can leave it blank as well. Compulsory fields are those fields that have the red asterisks at the top here. You have to write something in those fields. But if there's no red asterisk, it's not a compulsory field, you can skip it. So I'll just go down. If I have a flyer or a poster for the event, I can upload it here. If I click, select a file, I can go to my computer and select where the file is, and I say open, and it will upload it. So I don't have any, so I will just cancel. Here, I have to choose all the partner organizations that are involved in the training. especially among the, if we have a training organized by HCF, Home, and ICMDA, I can go to HCFI, or I start with Home, then I go to HCFI, then I go to ICMDA. So these three partner organizations are involved in organizing and presenting that training event. Next, I will choose the trainers that are involved in the training. Now, let me explain what happens here. If you have never trained anyone, the training you are organizing is your maiden event. Nothing will appear here because you haven't trained anyone yet. In my case, these are some of the people I have trained in the past, and that's why you see lots of names here. But for you, what you will need to do is to type in the names of all the people involved in the training if there's nothing appearing at the top. But if I have people in this list that are going to be part of the training as facilitators or apprentices, I will just tick the names. I'll tick the name, I tick the name. If there are people that do not appear on the list, I can just type the name here. Each name in a fresh line. So I say Beatrix, and I say Mary, and then I say Lata. Okay? So those three will be additional facilitators that are not on that list. If I have apprentices who are part of the training, I can just click and choose the apprentices. If the names do not appear here, I can go down to this space here, and then I type the names of the apprentices. But you don't have to type anything there if you don't have any apprentices. Then you choose the location of the training. Let's say we're having this training in St. Vincent's Hospital in Mayfair, London, for instance. So I just say location name, St. Vincent Hospital, address 112 Mayfair. I'm just making up an address. City, London. State, province, London. Zip code is not a compulsory field. I can leave it, or I just put 0001. Country, England. So I look for E. Where is England? Okay, I don't see England, so I can look for United Kingdom.
UK.
You go to U. United Kingdom. There we go. United Kingdom. Okay. So next, I'm going to choose in which language or languages will the training be held. Sometimes I hold the training in English with a French translation, or English with a translation in Malagasy, or it could be a training that is being organized in French. So you just choose the language. In this case, it's going to be English, nothing more. Now, let me explain this part. Share preference. This is a compulsory field. There are two options, public or private. By default, you make your training public so that everyone will see your training event online. But if you are organizing a training in a restricted country in the Middle East, in China, in North Korea, or one of those restricted countries, you don't want the authorities to know that such an event is going on. So you make it private so that only those who have access to the SOC will see that event. It's not going to go public. Okay, so those are the two options. Otherwise, every other event should be public. Now, once I've done this, I'm going to click save. Now let's see what happens. This is just a dummy event. It's not a real event for me, but let's see what happens. You will see once I click save, that event will be created and it will be at the top of the list of my training events. Now I have lots of training events here. There are lots and lots of them, but it will come to the very top. This is it here, SPTTT in London. Saline process witness training, start date, end date. But there's something else you will notice. It is inactive. The reason it is inactive, the rest of it is active. Inactive means it's not yet visible online. Now, somebody from IHS Global needs to review this event and approve it. Only then will it become active. So hopefully by tomorrow, you will see that this will now change from inactive to active. There are 4 important buttons here that I want to explain, and this is very important for you as trainers. Let's go to the first one. I have created an event. What if the date changed? The event is postponed, or one facilitator is no longer available, or I have 2 additional facilitators, or the time has changed, and I need to change all of that. How do I do it? I come back to that event I've created. But before I come back here, let me show you the second way to access how to create an event. The first method we used was to go to Event, and then we clicked Submit Event. And it opened this form where we now started entering the details of the event. Now let me show you the second method. From any page you are, you can go to Manage Events up here. If I click on Manage Events, it allows me to do 2 things. It allows me, number 1, to add a new event. And if I click Add New over here, it will open exactly the same form where we type in, we enter the details of the event we're creating. The second thing I can do from this Manage Event here is to view all my past events, to edit an event, and I can upload my evaluation form. The evaluation form is the report. I can send invites to the people I have trained. I can activate the follow-up email. So let's start with edit. I want to edit this event in London. I want to add 1 more facilitator, or I want to change the date or the time. Once I click edit, it opens the form and I can edit whatever I want to edit. If it's an SPTTT, I can say SPTTT instead of an SPWT. If it's an in-person event, we can say in-person, or we make it blended. We can change the time, change the partner organization, change whatever we need to change, but make sure at the end of it, right at the bottom, you click Save. Then it will update the changes you have made. Your event has been saved successfully. The next thing you can do here, and this is what you need to do at the end of an event, you click on your evaluation form. This is where you fill in your report concerning your event. So let's quickly go through and see what happens, what information is required here. How many hours of training took place? Usually you get that information from your program, your training schedule. You calculate you add up all the number of hours that you have used for the training, and you write the value. Let's just say if it's a saline process witness training, 10 hours, we'll type 10. Would you recommend a training location for future saline process trainings? I would say yes. If I have a reason, I will just type my reason here. What was the price per person, or approximate price per person, or the cost of the training. I can say 10 pounds, 10 British pounds. I don't have a symbol for pounds here, so let me use US dollars. Okay. Who paid for the training? Participants, local Christian healthcare, for instance. Or if there are other sources that helped with the payment for the training, you can type that in the space here. And then about the participants, how many participants were involved in the training? Let's say if there are 15 participants, you type 15. What is the age range? Now you see why we ask for age sometimes. Now you understand why. So in your registration form, you have a field for age, so you can have an idea the age range of the people who are participating in the training. So I can say from 22 up to 65, for instance. And then you get the average. What is the average of 22 and 65? 40, let's just say 44, for instance. So that should be the approximate average age of the participants. What about their profession? Yes,
Tim, can I just stop you there?
Okay.
For the average age of the participants, if they have 15 who are 25 and one person who is 65, the average age, you can keep it as 25.
Yes.
Because, like you have maximum number of people who are 25.
Yes.
So you can look at the crowd and take an approximate average age also.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And by the way, it doesn't have to be exact. It's just for IHS Global in their record, just to have an idea the age range of people who have attended or who are attending the training. Okay, so don't feel bad. Even if you miss in your registration form, you forgot to add a column for age. You can just look at the people who have attended the training. You'll be able to tell averagely. It does not have to be exact, just for them to have an idea what sort of people have attended the training. Now, this part is for the profession of the participants. So, again, IHS Global wants to have an idea what kind of professions people come from that attend the training. And we have had people from all kinds of professions, dentists, medical doctors, nurses, especially for your particular training. And sometimes you can even have more of students. And if you have none of the above, like sometimes you have well, not deacons now. You have teachers, right? Teachers. You even have chaplain, hospital chaplain. We've even had bishops. And we've had housewives, etc. We've had lawyers, engineers, and so on and so forth. Now, what about participants' feedback? Where do you get this information from? Now, I want to take you back to the saline process witness training and the evaluation that participants need to fill in at the end of the training. I know that sometimes because of time, some trainers don't get the participants to fill in that evaluation form. Now, if your participants do not fill in that evaluation form, you may be stranded when you come to this part. You will not know what to do because the information you fill in here, you draw it from the information that participants have filled in when they completed that evaluation form. Question now is, how do you get participants to complete the evaluation form? One thing we do is to make completion of the evaluation a requirement for completing the course. And we say to them, if you have not completed your evaluation form, you have not completed the course. And if you have not completed the course, you don't get a certificate. So we tie the completion of the evaluation form to receipt of a certificate. That motivates everyone, even those who do not feel like completing the form, it motivates them to do it because you need that to complete your information here. So you just look at the average of what most people are saying in that form, and you can use that to complete this part. Once you're done here, the next part says, if other or if you would like to give more detail, please describe. Okay, no. I think I missed a part. Okay. How did participants say they would like for you to follow up with them in the future? This information you also get from the evaluation form, from what majority of the people are saying. So you can tick all the applicable options here. And if there are other ways they would like to be followed up that is not included up here, you can then type it in this space. For instance, there is no WhatsApp here. You can type WhatsApp here if that is indicated in the form. Okay. Regarding follow-up, now obviously you cannot put the name and email address of all the facilitators here. So you choose the name of one of the facilitators. You can decide who that person will be. It could be the chief facilitator, or it could be someone else within the facilitation team. You put the name here. Let's just say we put Alette here, for instance, and then we put her email address here, say line at hcfglobal.org. Then we put the language in which the training was conducted, and that would be English. How participants' email addresses, okay, have participants' email addresses been uploaded to invite them to the Sailite online community? Again, you see why you need to have that Excel spreadsheet with 3 columns: email address, first name, last name. You upload it to invite the participants to connect on the SOC. Once you've done that, then you can come here and say yes. But if you haven't done that yet, then you need to state your reason very briefly. Also, the next part says, have participants' email addresses been uploaded to begin the follow-up email? So if you have done that, you've uploaded the spreadsheet with 3 columns: email address, first name, last name, and you have sent it through for the follow-up to begin, you choose yes. If not, you can state your reason. And in this final section, trainer reflection, if there's anything else you would like to reflect on regarding the training, any information. Sometimes in trainings, people accept the Lord, people make commitments to Christ, and sometimes you could have testimonies, okay, interesting testimonies. So anything else you would like to share, you can now share them here. Anything positive about the training, about the venue, about the participants, anything you would like IHS Global to take note of, so you can share them here. Any further thoughts about what could be improved? So if there are suggestions, especially in the evaluation form, or during your time of debriefing, you find that, okay, there are some things that need to be improved. It could even be in the training material. If you notice some mistakes you want to bring to the attention of IHS Global, or there are some suggestions or materials you would like to see included in the training material, you can type all of those in this space here. What are praise or prayer requests from this event that we can join in lifting up to the Lord? If people gave their life to Christ, if there are testimonies or praise items, you can type all of those here. And once you're done, you just click save, and the information goes straight to IHS Global. Okay, that is how you complete your training reports. If you have not done this, because here it is called event evaluation form. If you haven't done this at the end of your event, your job as a trainer is not yet complete. So we have looked at edit, we have looked at evaluation form. Let's look at how to send the invite. How do you send the invite? If I click on send invite, this is the invitation you send to the people you have trained so that they can register on the SOC and have their own profile here. I've clicked on that button. If you do not have the template for collecting the information, email address, first name, last name, you can download it from here. If I click download template, it will open the spreadsheet with 3 columns: email address, first name, last name. And you can type all the details of the participants and then you save it. Let's just say I want to save this on my desktop and I'm going to call it, let's give it a name. I'm in a meeting now. I'll call you when I finish. Yeah. So let's save it on my desktop and let's give it a name. Okay, download a copy. I'll just save it. I'll call it Ireland SPTTT upload, which means this is the one that I'm going to upload, not the big database. So let's say Ireland SPTTT upload. I usually add upload at the end of the file name to differentiate it from the big database so that I don't confuse both. So I have saved it on my desktop. Now I'm going to try to, can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think I've been talking too much. Maybe it's time to take a short break and stretch, and then we will come back and take it from here. What do you think? We've been going on for over an hour already. I think a short break will be in order.
Yes, a coffee break. That would be lovely.
Yes. How many minutes?
Just 5 minutes or?
Okay, let's make it 5 minutes because we have so much to cover. The SOC is very important for us as trainers to know exactly how to do these things. Fortunately, we are recording it, so you can go over it again and again later on. Okay, 5 minutes. Great, so I think we can proceed. So before the short coffee break, we were looking at the SOC, how to create an event before the training, and after the training, or well, how to edit your event should there be need to change any of the information about the event. And then after the event, how to upload your training reports. And now we want to look at how to send the invites so that you can invite all those people you have trained to connect on the SOC. So let me share screen again so that we can go back to, I hope this is it. No, this is not it. Okay, let me try to open the right one. Okay, so we go back to the SOC. I'm going to share screen now. Here we go. So here you can download the Excel spreadsheet template that has the email address, first name, last name. And I don't know how many times I've repeated that. Email address, first name, last name, so that we get the order right. because if you miss it, it's not going to upload. The system will not accept it. It has to be in that order. Email address, first name, last name, nothing more. Okay. If you already have the template, you skip that step. It will accept file formats that are in this format: Excel, XLS, XLSX, or CSV. But don't worry about all that. If you have Excel, it fits into any of these formats. Okay, so this is our event. And we want to invite participants we have trained under this event to connect on the SOC. But if we got in here by mistake and we had intended to choose a different event, you can just click choose a different event, and it will allow you to choose the event, the appropriate event. What is the role of the people you have trained? Usually you are going to train mostly witnesses. So SPWT, Saline Process Witness Training. So the people you're training will be witnesses. So I choose witnesses. In which country did the training take place? United Kingdom. So I go to United Kingdom. Preferred language. So this is the language in which they are going to receive their email, inviting them to connect on the SOC. Sometimes we can conduct a training in English, but participants will say to me, I prefer to receive all my emails in French. So what I do is I separate the lists into English and French. And for all the English-speaking participants, I will upload their details together and choose English. And for those who prefer French, I would now upload that separately and choose French, but everything else will be the same. In this case, the training is in English, so we choose English. You can add a message here to say, for instance, having done the SPWT in London, UK, we hereby invite you to connect to the Saline online community platform, but you can leave it blank. It will go with a message anyway, so let's leave it blank. It's not a compulsory field. Then, in this part where it says upload file, this is where I will now go and into my computer and select that spreadsheet that I've saved with the name Ireland SPTTT or SPWT upload, because I know that's the one I'm uploading. Okay, I see there's a message on the chat. Okay. Okay, fine, Alert, it's fine. I see your message. Yeah, great. So I will click choose file, and then it will open my computer. I will go to the desktop where I saved the file. This is the file here. I don't know if you can see it. Ireland SPTTT upload. I click on it. I say open. It will attach the file here. And then I will click send all invitations. I'm not going to do that now because my template is blank. There are no names there. But the moment you send, all the participants on that list will receive an email inviting them to connect to the SOC. Now, there's something I wish to emphasize here. When they get the email, there's going to be a link in that email that they will click. Once they click on that link, and you need to explain this to the participants, once they click on the link in the email, it will take them online to the Saline Process platform, to a page where they will enter all their details, name, partner organization, email address, phone number, and so on. And at the end, they will click, I think it's send or save or something like that. Once they have clicked send at the end of that page, they are going to receive a second email. Now, this is important. The second email they receive is an email asking them to confirm that the email address they have used to register on the SOC is indeed their email address. Because sometimes somebody uses somebody else's email address. So the system wants to confirm that the address you have used is indeed your email address. So it sends you that second email address, and you need to click on that second email address as a confirmation before it gives you final access to the SOC. Now, what we see with some participants is that the moment they have filled in the details after receiving the first email address and they click send, that's it, they stop there. They do not go back to that second email to click to confirm that, yes, indeed, is my email address. And so the process is not complete. That is why some of them are still not in the SOC, because they have not completed the process. So as trainers, it's important for you to emphasize to the people you have trained that they have to look out for that second email address that has a link that they have to click to confirm that the email address they have used to register is indeed their email address. Once they click on that link in the second email, it now grants them access to the SOC. They can now log in with their email address and password. Okay. Are there any questions or comments at this point before I take us to the last button, which would be, so this is how to send the invitation. The last button will be how to start the follow-up email. Are there any questions at this point before I touch on that last button? Let me stop sharing so I can see the faces. Okay, I don't see any hand. Okay, so let me quickly go to the last button so that we see how to activate the follow-up email. It's also a very simple, straightforward process. I'm going back to the SOC, and I'm going back to that event in London. How do we start the follow-up email? You go back to Manage Events up here, you click. It brings you to this page where we are right now. I go to Start Follow-up Email. Already I have my Excel spreadsheet with 3 columns: email address, first name, last name. So I skip this first step here. I go straight to the next field where I select the language in which the participants will receive their email. If I choose French, they'll get all their follow-up emails in French. If I choose Arabic, all their emails will be in Arabic. But hey, we had the training in London, so obviously it will be in English. So I choose English. And then I upload the same file, the same Excel spreadsheet I have saved with the email address, first name, and last name. I choose the same file, I open in my computer, I have it saved in the desktop, I go to desktop, I look for Ireland SPTTT or SPWT upload or whatever name I use to save it. I select, I click open, it attaches the file, and then I click on the blue button at the bottom to say add all contacts to email list. Once I click that, the system will automatically activate the follow-up emails that all participants will receive for the next 18 months. And once I've done that, my reports and the things I need to do as a saline process trainer following the training on the SOC is complete. Now, 2 more things I want to show us in the SOC before I leave the SOC. Where do you find the materials, training materials? Where do you download the resources? Your PowerPoint, your trainer's manual, and all the materials you need. Now, Here, on the left-hand column, you will see resources. If I click here, resources, and I go to training materials, this is where you go to. There are a whole lot of resources here, but I'm going to training materials. I click on it. It will open this page where I will see, you see here, I see saline process 1.4 explanation of updates, saline process material overview. This one is a video. Virtual SPWT 1.4 trainer package. This will be of interest to you. Saline process 1.4 in English. This will be of interest to you. And trainer's manual 1.4 in English. The latest material is version 1.4. These are the ones you should be downloading. Now, this is a zip file. How do you unzip this zip file? Because that's where some trainers do have problems. Now, I'm not going to explain how to do it here because I have already explained it in another video. So I think what I'm going to do before the next event, I'm going to post a link to that video where we were explaining to some of our saline apprentices how to unzip this zip file so that you can download the saline process 1.4 material in English containing the PowerPoint, the participants workbook cover, participants workbook test, the trainer's kit, and the rest of the material, depending on which one you are downloading. If you are downloading this packet, for instance, it has more materials in it. So in there you have, let's see, it includes training guide, certificate of completion, participants workbook, presentation and Zoom background, and other material. So I'm going to post a link on how to unzip a zip folder so that you can have access to the individual files contained in it. Okay, now there will be no time to go through all of the resources you can download here. There are videos you can download. You can download promotional materials, flyers, name badges, and all of that. But I would encourage you to just play around with all of these buttons to see what is there. And you can download them in different languages. Oh, there's something else I need to show you. If I want to convert this whole page to French, because right now it's in English, I want it in French, I want it in Welsh, I want it in Spanish. How do I do that? I'm not fluent in English. I read better in French. If you go to, yeah, there's a place here, select language. At the top center here where it says select language, there's a drop down list. If I click on it, there's a whole range of languages from Afrikaans to Zulu. Funny enough, those are two South African languages from A to Z. Okay, you can download, you can convert this page to any language. Let's convert it to Welsh, for instance. Where is W? Okay, because of time, I will leave that. Okay. So let me also show us where to post our prayer requests for an event or to see the prayer requests that others have posted. If you go to prayer, you click. These are prayer requests that people have posted. And the moment someone prays, they click on this button, you can tell how many times someone has prayed. If you wish to submit a prayer request for an event, this is where you click submit a prayer request. If you click on it, it allows you to type the details of the prayer requests and then you can submit it. Okay, now let me pause. Let me pause and give some time for questions and clarity before we go back to our PowerPoint slides. I know that this is a mouthful, but don't worry about understanding everything now. It's recorded. You can take your time and go through it once again. but it's very important for you to know how to do this as a trainer. Comments, questions?
You are saying, you are really giving us in a very plain and simple way. You help us because many of us, we're not so young anymore, so we didn't do all that technical bits at school. So it really is a school for us. And I know you did it with us already, and you showed us now. But the only way, for instance, myself to learn is to do it with somebody step by step. But that I can do with you at a later stage. And if I know how to do it, if I know how to do it, I can do it in a step by step way with the people.
Yes. And just to add something, there's a how-to guide also there on the platform that can take you step by step, screenshot by screenshot, how to do all of these things I've explained. Let me quickly show you because it's good to know where to find these materials.
Yes, because if we know how to do it, if
yes.
Once you know it, you'll not forget it.
Yes. So let's go back to resources. Under resources, let's see, where are those? Okay, training material. I'm now looking for those how-to guides. I know they are somewhere at the back. Let's quickly go and look for them. I will just show you one or two. They are PDFs. So I go to the next page. I go to the next page, page 4. Okay, it's not here. Let's see where else. Training preparation. Let me try that. Okay, this is where you find the videos. Patient barrier demonstration, activity 2.3, and so on. But I'm looking for the how-to guides. Let's quickly go to the next one. I'm not going to explain it, but just to show you. Yeah, fine. Now here is one. How to, number 2, how to submit an event evaluation. And that is your training report that we talked about. How to invite groups. You've trained 30 people, you want to invite them in one batch, as opposed to doing it individually. Follow-up guide. Okay, let's see. How to invite groups in French. What else? Start the follow-up email. So how to start your follow-up email. So the how-to guides, we found them here under training preparation. So it gives you screenshots and tells you which buttons to click. Step by step, everything you need to do step by step. But feel free to contact us should there be need for a one-on-one for us to show you how these things work. But it's all being recorded, so you can always take your time to go through. Okay.
And I can add it that sometimes a coach can help in this. As for me, I training with my coach.
Okay.
Sometimes this helps. Yeah.
Tim, I don't see the recording on. So is it recording?
The recording is not on, but it's on. Not on Zoom. I'm recording in a different way. I actually forgot to press the Zoom button to record, but I have the recording going on somewhere else. Okay, and I'm going to share that. Okay. Sorry, I forgot about the Zoom one, to press the Zoom record button. So, Mona, if you can take us back to the slides, let's quickly see where we are. We've covered a lot of things in the slides, so we'll just keep most of them. So before the training, you download the resources. We know where to download. We've seen how to add an event. The event is your training that you're planning to have. And we've also seen where to post your prayer request for the event. You can share prayer requests on WhatsApp as well, before and during the training, and then Thanksgiving at the end of the training. After the training, we've seen how to submit your report, which is your training team's evaluation. We've seen how to send invitation to the Saline online community to invite the participants that you have trained so that they can connect to the SOC. We have also seen how to initiate or to activate the follow-up emails. So all of this we've covered. Next slide. And of course, these are all part of the head goals, just the things we need to know, we need to do. So looking at the head goals, in summary, know well the trainer manual as a key resource. Now, I cannot emphasize enough how important it is for us as trainers to be familiar with the different sections of the trainer's manual and how to use them. And Lata has done a beautiful job in explaining the different sections. And so if you can stay close to that manual, know how to use everything you need as a saline process trainer is there in the manual. You don't need to, even if you don't have stories of your own, there are stories in the manual. So it gives you each section, how to use it, explanation of the slide. So you will not fumble. Once you are able to work with the manual, you won't go wrong. Okay. We've learned how to facilitate adult learning. We said we need to try to make it interactive, more inclusive, and more participatory. Okay. We talked about the trainer preparation and the support available for us as trainers, looking at understanding the logistics and the process. Know the trainer responsibility, and those responsibilities should be carefully delegated so that each person knows exactly what they need to do, from the trainer schedule to who does communication, who does the downloading of the material, who sends out invitations, and so on and so forth. Recognize the support available for trainers. Go back, Mona, there's one more. Go back. Yeah. And then be familiar with the Saline online community. So we've just given us a brief overview. Okay, I think there is some echo somewhere. Okay. Okay.
Tim, I just sent you a little message. Do you see it?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes I forget where I am when I'm doing this training thing. Okay. So yes, I see it. Yeah. So I will be handing over soon to Lata. I see it's almost, I have about 19 minutes before the other meeting starts. Okay, Alert is fine. Mona, go to the next slide. Let's see what's there. The hand goes. Okay, maybe I should pause here and invite Lata to just continue from here so I can catch my breath. Is that okay with you, Lata?
Perfectly.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alert, for looking out for me. Yeah, thanks.
Sorry, Lata, but Tim has been like a train just moving on. So he need to take a breath.
I know.
And you do this so well, so we give it to you. Yeah.
Okay. So do we need a 1 or 2 minute stretch break before we change gears? We're going to, he was taking it as Tim took us at a very high speed. If anybody wants to slow down, just breathe, because we're moving into the next section of the training. So let's take, Mona, would you mind just to stop sharing, and then we can share again so that we see each other's faces before we start the next session. So how is everyone feeling? Are we all right?
Yep. Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Well, you do it so well.
I am with you. Okay.
Yeah, I know, Alice.
I'm trying to get some dinner before we move into the next one. Sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
So now, as we move into the next part, which is the longest part of the SPTTT, it will be good to prepare our minds for long sessions of which will not just end today. The hand goals is the longest in the SPTTT. So we are probably continuing it the next week and a little bit the week after that. So it's just beginning, and then it's going to continue for 2 more days. Actually, for 3 sessions more. So we can take it little by little. If you remember the trainer's manual, we said it's divided into 5 sections. We finished the first section, the trainer preparation. Now we're moving into the second section, which is the training materials. Okay. Now, would you please tell me, out of what you have understood, what are the materials that we need as trainers? So we can listen to all of us, maybe. What are some of the different materials that we need as we get ready to be trainers? If you have to go to another place, what would you pack?
You'll download training materials and print like master copies, and my copies of the trainer's manual, definitely, and my copies of participants' workbook and certificates, that you need.
Yeah, thank you, Christine. So we need a book, a manual that we will follow as trainers, which is called as the trainer's manual. Okay. Then we also have a workbook for the participants. A workbook, which means they will have to work through the book. But for us, it's a manual which is ready-made. It's printed. We have to scribble on the side, on the margins. But for the participants, it's a workbook. Participants' workbook is 71 pages and ours is 220 pages. So at least if we know that, that is good. And then what else do we need? What material? Not the equipment, but
on information.
Excellent. We need the PowerPoint. Otherwise, we'll be stuck. We won't be able to conduct the training. So we need the PowerPoint to conduct the training. So there are different kinds of PowerPoint, but okay. So we got these 3 things clear. We need the trainer's manual, we need the participants' workbook, and we need the PowerPoint if we have to do the training. Now, there is another packet that we need. Like, how will you prepare the schedule? Where will you get the schedule from? How will we prepare a flyer? A certificate? Now, where will we get that from? Is a big question that we need to ask. So I just want to say everything that is 1 page, 2 page, what we call as a document or a booklet is under one folder called as the trainer's kit. It's a kit where little teeny bits of different things like the flyer, the schedule, the certificate, the checklist, what else? All those things go. That's called as a trainer's kit. So if you have understood that, now let's open the trainer's manual. If you have the trainer's manual, please open the trainer's manual to the second section called as the training materials. Training materials. What page number is the training materials? 27?
28.
28. Yeah, it actually begins in on page 27, which is our drop, the second drop. So there are 5 drops. It's the second drop of the trainer manual. If you can see, is it the same on your screen as well? I started screen sharing. Can you see this on your screen as well? The training materials on page 27. And this is the description of the materials. Are we all together? Shall I proceed?
Yes, sure.
Okay. So first of all, let's look at the trainer's manual. When we have the trainer's manual, that's our book. How is it organized? How is this trainer's manual organized? We said there are 5 sections of this manual, and then each section has different portions. So first of all, we are now thorough with the trainer preparation. The first section. If you can look on the screen on page 28, and then also on your trainer's. The first section is the trainer preparation, and I believe all of us are ready. All of us have understood the trainer's preparation section very well. Tim gave us a good instruction and teaching on this trainer preparation, and we are thorough. Now, we are in the second section called as the training materials. The third section is the content summary. Okay. So if you go to the table of contents, you will know what page number it is. I'm just scrolling it to the table of contents, which is page 3. Let's see. Table of contents. So you see the training materials is page 27 to 34. Page 27 to 34 is the training materials. And we know that the different materials that we need. Now I go back to page 28. So we have the trainer's manual, the participants workbook, and the PowerPoint. And the fourth one is a film presentation, which is on the SOC. If you see here on page 29, it's a film presentation, but you see it's being updated to reflect the new material. So this is currently not available. But that is also another resource that we will have. And the fifth one, or 4, as we have learned today, is the trainer's kit, which will have all the different documents, which are one-page ones. Promotion flyer, the schedule, participant schedule, if you want to give it to them, an Excel sheet to collect the email address, certificate, logos of different organizations. That's what you see in the trainer's kit. And then we also have the taster PowerPoint. If you're doing a taster, there is a taster PowerPoint as well. A sale and process brochure if you are introducing this to another organization. So I will keep it to that because I don't want to overload you with a lot of little details. Is that all right? The training materials, have you got a rough idea of the training materials? Okay. So if you look at the pages after that, which is the training manual uses, parts and uses. This part, which is a chart that is 3-page long or 4 pages long, up to page 33, are different parts of the trainer's manual and how to use it. Let's look at the trainer preparation section. This is a description of what the trainer preparation section is all about, and this is how to use that section. The last column is about how to use that section. So that's for each trainer to understand. Content summary is the next section of the trainer's manual. Here it talks about what a description and how to use it. I'm not going in detail because we're going to look at it in the next part of the training. So the third section is the content summary. And after that, we have different descriptions. I know that you will not be able to understand it fully if I just go through it page by page. So what I would suggest is when you get time, please go through those pages in the training material section. But generally, if you understand that it's the trainer's manual, the workbook, the PowerPoint, the trainer's kit. Film presentation is currently not available. Taster PowerPoint is also available. These are the materials that we need. The part after that goes into a little bit detail about how to use the trainer's manual. First, it talks about the trainer preparation, a little description, and how to use it. Content summary, the third section onwards, we are going to look at it as the next part of the handbook. So I'm not going into the detail of it now. But I believe you have understood the trainer preparation and the training manuals, training material section. Okay. So if you need more explanation, you can tell me now. Otherwise, we can move into the next part, which is the content summary and the handbooks. What do you say? You tell me. Do you need little more explanation of those 4-page chart and the key symbols? Will that be helpful?
No, it's very clear. Thank you very much. It really is, Lata. I can understand it fully because I've got my book with me and I can see what you explain. So it's really very clear.
And the 4-page chart, I will explain it when we reach there. Because now for you to see it, I know it because I've done it. And for you, when you do it and see it, you'll understand it better. But whatever we have discussed, if we have understood, I promise you will understand the rest of it as we reach there. Okay? But let's wait. So then, the 4-page chart is a pause. We are not doing that now. But we can take a little look at the chart. Let me just scroll down to the 4-page chart and then go to the symbols. This is a page where we could just look at together because we won't get an opportunity to look at this together again. So there are different symbols that are used in the trainer's manual. So when you see a symbol, then we should know what does that mean? Why do we use the symbol? So if you see this symbol, a compass, it points the way. It marks the pages of tips that are at the beginning of each training section, marks pages with sections that have tips for trainers. So this compass means there is a tip for the trainer tip. That's what it shows. So when you go through the trainer's manual, if on any page you see this symbol, then you know, okay, there is something for me to pause and look at because there may be a tip for the trainer on how to teach this section, how to teach this particular slide. There may be a tip. So that's what that stands for. And the second symbol stands for the patient's role play, the mask. It shows the role play. I don't need to explain further on that. So we will move to the third symbol, which is a book. Now, if you see the symbol of the book, then you know you have this in the trainer's manual, but the same page will be in the participant's manual, participant's workbook too. You have this page, most of the time, it's a reading. For example, a story about courage. You're reading a story about courage, and if it has a symbol, you want to check, okay, do the participants have the story? Can they read the story? You see if there is a symbol of the book on that page. If there is a symbol of the book, it says the participants can also read the story. Now, when you present the gospel presentation page, you are reading it in your trainer's manual. But you want to see, is this explained in the participants' workbook? See if there is a symbol of the book. So then you know, okay, this is shared. They have it and we have it. And then the fourth symbol of the heart, it shows where there is a personal reflection, where one needs to give time for people for personal reflection. That is a symbol of the heart. And then there is a symbol of the bulb, the light, extra light on some ideas being presented. There's some extra information on some ideas being presented. That's the bulb. And the last one is a scripture, where there is a picture of a Bible, scripture to be read aloud at the trainer's discretion, with time allowances taken into account. So if there is time, then you see the picture of the Bible. You decide whether you want to ask the participants to read it aloud, or you, because of lack of time, you just talk about it. Talk about the scripture. Any doubt on that part, the symbols? Was that clear, or any doubt on that?
Very clear, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mary. So let's see what comes after that. Let's go back to the training, the trainer's manual. What comes after that? The next section. So we finished one section of the trainer's manual. The second section called as the training materials. So just to go back and summarize, you can go through the pages once more. What are the materials that we need? Trainer's manual, participants workbook, PowerPoint, trainer's kit, taster PowerPoint, and a brochure. These are the materials that we need. The trainer's kit will have every document that is one page, like a schedule, a flyer, a certificate. So if you're searching for any of it while you're preparing for a training, go to the kit. But the manual, the workbook, you have to print it separately. The four pages of the table, we haven't described it. That's for us to read, and also it will become clear as we move on. But the first section of it, the trainer preparation, a description and how to use it, we have understood. We looked at the chart of the symbols, and I think we are clear about that. Would that be sufficient for this? And now I'll just share the PowerPoint and check if we are happy with it.
We are very happy. I don't know where Beatrice is. I'm sure Beatrice and Mandy.
What's that, Crystal? I didn't understand.
No, I'm sure they can also say if they're okay with everything. Mandy and Beatrice.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Okay then.
Sorry, Lata. It's 7 o'clock South African time.
Yeah.
So Alette and I and Mona may be leaving at any time.
Okay.
Without having the opportunity to say goodbye. So if you see that we have disappeared, just take this as a goodbye for today. Yes, but yeah, we'll keep you in our prayers, in our thoughts as you carry on with the training. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tim.
Okay, for me, I will be in and out because I have another Zoom, so I will be in and out.
Okay. Okay.
So I will stay for a few more minutes because before everybody is there, it takes at least 15, 20 minutes. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let me take you back to the first. This is where we begin the hand goals in the PowerPoint. And I will go to the next slide. We are going to do in the hand goal. These are the things that we will be doing in this section of the hand goals. They will be getting to know each question. We will do a sample slide presentation. Each of us will get an opportunity to teach a slide. We will also do the patient's journey together so that we can learn the sequence of the patient's journey. We will do a taster presentation. We will understand and talk a little bit about material adaptation. But all this will happen in 3 weeks. It's not today. So today we're just going to just the tip of the iceberg. We're just going to look at getting to know each question introduction and maybe if there is time question 1. So that's all we're going to look at today. Okay. Let's see what is next. Now, introduction to the training materials. This is what we just did. This is what we did by opening the trainer's manual. Description of the material, trainer's manual parts and uses, key symbols, and now we have to go into the content summary. Now, this is how we begin getting to know each question. Okay. Now, this can look very overwhelming, very heavy, but we need to make this simple. That's what we need to do. So there are about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullet points here. 6 points, bullet points here. This is an exercise probably which you would have done as homework, but let me explain it to you anyway. Now, he talks about the outline and the activities. Outline and the activities belong to the content summary section, which is the 3rd section of your trainer's manual. That's why I said, let's not go into that 4-page chart. Let's just go to this page, and outline and activities are in the content summary section. Okay. And then how about the learning objectives? Where will that be? The learning objectives. The learning objective is different for the introduction and the 5 questions. Let me stop sharing and let me explain it to you. In the SPTTT, we know that there is introduction and question 5. 5 questions. Do you know? We know the 5 questions, right? Why is faith important in healthcare?
Yes.
Yeah. So the content summary section is an essence, a summary of all this. So we said the outline and the activity come under this section. Okay, shall we look at that in the trainer's manual? Now I will screen share and show you in the trainer's manual so that we understand it well. Okay. I'm going to the trainer's manual. This is where we stopped. We start the 3rd section of the trainer's manual is the content summary. And this is where we see the outline and the activities. Now, I'm in page 36. You can look at the screen and you can also look at your trainer's manual, page 36. The outline and the activities. Let me tell you how to look at how to search for the outline and how to search for the activities. If you look at the bold and underlined parts on this page, the main heading is introduction. But what is the outline in the introduction? It's the bold and the underlined part, which means when we teach SPTTT, in the introduction section, the outline is first we do the welcome, introductions, and prayer. Then we give an overview of IHS Global, partnership, and the saline process. Then we do the introduction of core principles, being a witness, faith journey, the process. And then introduction to the 5 questions. This is the outline of the introduction. And then the second part is, did we all understand the outline, how to look for outline? You open up the page on introduction, and then you look for the bold and the underlined part, which will give you the outline of the introduction section of the SPTTT. So when you're going to teach SPTTT, if you're going to teach the introduction section, then we know this is the outline. This is what we are going to do as an outline of introduction section. And then we are looking at what are the activities in this section. So let's go back to the activities. Below the outline is the activity. So in the introduction section, there is one activity, which is a reflection on faith in healthcare. Reflection on faith in healthcare is agree, disagree, strongly disagree. Do you remember that part when we did the SPTTT?
Yes.
Yeah, so that is the activity in the introduction section. So that's page 36. We can look at one more page so that it is very clear. But let's look at question 1. Outline and activity. Outline and activity. So can you tell me what is the outline of question 1?
There's all the headings that's in bold.
Yes, so what are the headings? Can we just read it out?
Like welcome, introductions and prayer, overview of IHS Global, International Saline Partnership, and then introduction of core principles, being a witness. All people are on a faith journey, and then the process includes cultivating, sowing, and harvesting, and the introduction to the 5 questions.
Yes. So that gives you an outline, a roadmap of what the introduction section is and the activities here. Now let's move on to page 37, question 1 as an example. If we look at this, what is the outline of question 1? Outline of question 1.
All the headings again. But I think the others must talk as well.
Yeah. So let's give
Shall I say something?
Yes, Mary.
So the outline is the research related to the importance of faith in healthcare and God's call and effective witnesses.
Yeah. So you have it in your mind as a witness trainer. What am I going to teach in question 1? It's these 2 things, research and God's call. There will be activities in between, but basically these are the main things I teach in question 1. So did you get that first point, the outline and the app?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. And then there is one more thing called as the activity. Let's go back and look at the activity in question 1. Now we'll give chance to somebody else to talk about that. Who will tell us what are the activities in question 1?
We've got activities 1-1, John's journey.
Okay.
And activities 1-2, John's journey, what he did and what we missed first.
Yes.
And with activity 1.3, the relevance of the spiritual health.
Yeah. So
that's question 2. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So the next page goes to question 2. So you saw it's one page, it's a summary of the question 1. And you saw the different activities. Because it's question 1, each activity has a number. Question 1, activity 1 is 1.1. Question 1, activity number 2 is 1.2. And question 1, activity 3 is 1.3. That's why the number. So therefore, when you go to question 2, the activity will be 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, depending on how many activities there are in that question. So I hope those 2 bullet points are clear, the outline and the activity. Now, it will become a little complex in the activity section when Amanda, would you mind just muting that mic because I can hear my echo from your mic. Thank you. Thank you very much. So when we go to doing the hand goals, for the activity, there are little more details that we need to fill out, but that's okay. We cross the bridge when we reach there. But if you have understood this much, then we are ready to move forward. Okay. Now I'm going to screen share and share with you the PowerPoint because that's where we started. There were 6 bullet points. We only looked at 2, the outline and the activities. Let me share the PowerPoint with you. This is what we were looking at. We looked at the outline and the activities. Okay. Now, we need to look at the third bullet point now, learning objectives. Where do we look for the learning objectives? That's our question now. We have the trainer's manual. The content summary is all about the outline and the activities. So, where do we look for the learning objective? Now, we know that it is introduction and the 5 questions. Every section of introduction and the 5 questions, the beginning or the first page of each of these sections will have the learning objectives and key concepts. So let's open the page and see. I'll now share the trainer's manual and show you where to find the learning objectives. We are in the content summary, page 37. We know about the outline and the activities. Question 2, outline and activities. Question 3, outline and activities. Question 4, outline and activities. Question 5, outline and activities. John's role play. Introduction. Can you see on page 47 is introduction. The section on introduction begins. Page 47. Page 47, introduction. Now, that is the drop. You see the drop. Picture of the drop on page 47. But the first page in the introduction is key concepts and learning objectives. Key concepts and learning objectives. Did you see that? So the learning objective is already there. Is right? Yeah. So now what you need to understand is this repeats for question 1. The same pattern repeats for question 1. The same pattern repeats for question 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's go to question 1. Now I'm scrolling down so that we go to question 1. Okay. So I want to be kind to your eyes, but I'm just quickly doing this. Now this is question 1. See the symbol of the cross. Why is faith important in healthcare? Is question 1. The first page on question 1 will have the key concepts and learning objectives. Okay?
Yes.
And so, what will be the first page of the question 2?
I've lost that on page question 1. What page is that on? Oh, question 1, found it, sorry.
Amanda, it wasn't clear. Could you repeat that, or someone else just tell me what Amanda just said?
I was just looking for what page question 1 was on, but I found it.
Question 1. You found it. Okay.
So ask question 3, because that's page 38. If you look at the first 2, if you look at the outline and the activities, page 38. Is it? No, that's question 2. Sorry. Page 40.
Page 40?
Yes. That's for if you do question 3, you look at the outline and activities.
Yes, outline and activities. But Crystal, now we're looking at the learning objectives, the third bullet point.
Yes.
So if you go to question 2, let me go to question 2.
Page 60, is it?
Let's go to question 2.
Page 60.
Page 60. Question 2 is page 88, correct. 88. So there is key concepts and learning objectives. Any doubts on that? So we looked at the 3 bullet points. the outline, activity, and the learning objectives. Now let's go back to the PowerPoint and look at what is the fourth bullet point. Now, potential problems is not in the trainer's manual. Potential problem is like when we are discussing together. You will always, now your coaches, Tim, Alec, we will discuss the potential problems, but it's not given in the trainer's manual. It's just a point for discussion. So it's not in the trainer's manual. But the fourth bullet point is the training tips. Training tips is in the trainer's manual. Now, we have looked at the learning objective. You can go further down, and could you just look at question 1 and tell me where the training tips are? After the learning objective, please keep turning your pages on question 1 and tell me where the training tips are.
Page 63.
Question 1. Page 63. Okay, training. So that comes in between the training tips, the learning objectives, and the training tips. There is a table. We all see the table, right? So what does the table have? Yeah, in that table is very good because it will have the slide numbers in this section. If it's question 1, question starts from slide 8. And then it's up to slide 24. That's in the question 1. It's slides 8 to 24 in question 1. So here is the slide number, and there's a slide title, and there is a key point. There's a key point. There's a slide number, like for example, if Mary is teaching slide 9, then this is the heading of slide 9. Why is faith important in healthcare? And this is the key point of that slide. Okay. And after this key points chart, this is the chart that explains the key points. It's called as the key point chart. But then is the training tips. And usually when you do the training tips, it corresponds with your learning objectives. Whatever you learned in the learning objectives, there will be some tip on how to teach that section, that part. Now, how much have you understood? Can you tell me? And then we will proceed from there. 1 or 2 of you, just tell me what you have understood in the hand goals.
It was definitely clear. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Brother,
I'd like to think that I understand.
Sorry, Mary?
I like to think that I understand.
Okay, yeah.
Time will tell.
Yeah. Robert, Brown, Himbo, Levison, how are you?
Good. So actually with me, I have at least some notes that I've jotted down, meaning to say at least I'm able to follow what we are covering so far. So I'm able to follow and understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Brown. Himbo, I see you're unmuted. Are you okay? Have you understood?
Yeah, I've understood. I'm following.
Thank you. Yeah.
The pace is good. It's slow and making it easy to understand.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. So just going back to the hand goals, we are looking at the training materials first. We looked at the training materials. We don't have to talk about that anymore. Now we are going into the third section called as the content summary. And content summary has 2 points, 2 bullet points that we need to look at into detail. And what are those 2 bullet points? What are those 2 bullet points that are there in the content summary?
Sorry, I think I'm lost now. Where is the content summary again? Or where do you get that on page which?
Content summary is the 3rd section of the trainer's manual. Now, this slide will help us. I said the first 2 bullet points are in the content summary. Outline and the activities. Outline and the activities. The content summary has the outline and the activities. And we look at the outline by what is bold and underlined. Why is faith important in healthcare? Scientific research and God's call. That's the outline. And the activity is below that, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. So that's what we talked about in the content summary. Crystal, is that clear or is there some doubt?
Yes, thank you. No. It wasn't clear what you were asking.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. So outline and activities are in the content summary section of the trainer's manual, which is the 3rd section of the trainer's manual. The 4th section begins with introduction, and the front page will have the learning objectives. And the learning objectives page is the same for question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is no potential problems explained in the trainer's manual. But after the page on learning objective, there is a chart of key points. And after the chart of key points, it's the training tips. Once we get this pattern clear in our mind, it's very easy to use the trainer's manual. But if we don't get this pattern clear, then we will struggle using the trainer's manual. We will be flipping pages back and forth and won't be very clear as to what should I do, and we may not even bother to read the trainer's manual. So it's very important to understand this part. I can repeat it any number of times so that you get that clear in your mind. Please ask some questions.
So basically, the context summary is to support the different sections later on.
Yes.
Go back to the context summary and pick out the key, where the other part, as we go on, we'll be talking about the training as we go along and following it through. But this gives us the overall of what that journey is going to be. So if we're teaching one subject, we can come back to this and get to the point of what we're doing. Is that correct?
Correct, Amanda. You got it.
Right.
Very good. Yes. So, is there anyone who is still confused on how Levison? Go ahead.
Can you come again on the section that talks about the potential problems?
I said I said there is no section on potential problem. There is no section. That is a discussion for us together.
Okay.
When we do the section, people who have taught have experienced problems, so they talk about their experiences.
All right.
It's not in the trainer's manual.
Right. Thank you.
But have you understood what is the content summary?
Yes.
And do you also know where to look for the learning objectives, key points chart, and the training tips?
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
Beatrix, are you able to follow my accent and my pace, or is it difficult for you?
Yeah, it's very good. Very good. But yeah, I just have here the training tips, but I couldn't find the summary. Summary.
The content summary?
Is that from page 46 on the summary?
Yes. So let me share with you the trainer's manual. I don't know these pages by heart, otherwise I would have just gone to these pages without scrolling down.
I mean,
now we have gone too far.
I have the training tips on page 63, and the rest is in front. I didn't. Oh no.
And the rest is?
Is that the pages in front?
Yeah.
The summary.
This one? The page before the training tip?
62, yeah, I have that, and the what you call it?
What's the page number, Beatrix? That you're asking about?
The summary, I can't see.
Yeah.
That, I mean, I have 46 one content summary.
Yes, 36. Let's go to 36.
That's the tips.
Yeah. Yes, this is content summary. Page 36 is content summary. And we have a content summary for introduction.
Yeah, I have that.
Yeah, we have content summary for question 1. We have content summary for question 2.
Yeah.
And we have content summary for question 3.
Yeah, okay, I have
for question 5. Question 5. And then there's additional reading. We won't.
Okay.
So when we finish with that, we finish the content summary section.
Yeah, I have that. That's okay.
And in the content summary section, we have an outline and an activity for each introduction and the 5 questions.
Yeah, no, I'm okay now. Thank you.
Okay. And when we start the next section, for every section, introduction and the 5 questions, this page is repeated. In the sense, it's not the same sentences, but the pattern looks like this. There will be key concepts and learning objectives. Okay, learning objectives and key concepts. And then there's the key points chart. After the key points chart is the training tips for each section. And then we go into the explanation of the slides. This will be 1 slide per page. Slide number 1 will be 1 page. Slide number 2 will be the next page. And the slide number 3 will be the 3rd page, and it continues. It doesn't matter which language you use the trainer's manual, the page numbers are all the same. It's translated in such a manner that French, German, English, Spanish, on all these trainers' manual, the page numbers will be corresponding, same. Okay. Is that better? I know it takes a while to get that, but once you get it, it's easy.
Yeah, thank you. That was helpful.
Yeah. So content summary, you have understood. It's called introduction, questions 1 to 5. It's a summary of all these questions. Then you go into the detailed introduction. But the pattern is when you go to the introduction section, there's key concepts, learning objectives, key point chart, training tips, and explanation of each of those slides. One slide per page. And that when you finish slide number 7, introduction section is over. And then the next section will start with another picture, which is question 1, the picture of the cross. Because the symbol for question 1, why is faith important in healthcare, is cross. So when you begin question 1, again, there will be key concepts, learning objectives, key point chart, training tips, explanation of each of the slides. So slides 8 to 24. When slide 8 to 24 is over, you finish question 1. Then we move to question 2, which will be, again, which will have the front page of key concepts and learning objectives, key point chart, training tips, and explanation of each of those slides. I don't know the slide number where it ends. Let's say 48. But when 48 ends, question 2 ends, then the third question starts. The symbol will be a picture of a human being, a profile picture. What is my part? And that will have key concepts and learning objectives, key point chart, training tips, and explanation of each slide. Is that
I suppose to start with, it would be good for us to go through this particular bit and just get our knowledge of building the knowledge on this part at this moment while we're in training. If we can get that in our heads and overall of this small part, that will give us the good grounding for the rest of the part.
Yes, that's why I'm spending as much time as we need on this, because it will help us as we go along. Okay. And one thing is, I want to say that we have all these. So if you know how to turn these pages, it's easy for you to refer when you teach the SPTTT, but you don't have to by heart it, because all you have to focus is, am I ready to teach the SPTTT? Am I ready to teach the introduction section? Am I ready to teach question 1? So don't try to by heart as I have done. Okay, content summary has this, the explanation has this. That's easy, though. It's easy. The content summary has this. But even if you don't by heart it, it's okay. But just be ready. Check. Can I teach introduction section? Can I teach the question 1? Now you're not ready. You will be as we go through the handles. Now let me share screen again. Let's go to the slides. Outline and activities is in the content summary section. Content summary section starts on page 37. I think it goes up to page 48. And it has the outline and the activities for introduction, question 1, question 2, 3, 4, and 5. Done. Third section. Fourth section is introduction to question 5. But when we start introduction, there is a picture of the drop. When we start question 1, there is a picture of the cross. When we start question 2, there is a picture of the door. Question 3 is a picture of a person. Question 4 is the picture of the toolkit or the bag. So, and question 5 is the direction symbol of 2 arrows. When each of these sections starts, it's organized in the same pattern. Key concepts and learning objectives, key point chart with the key points of each of the slides, training tips and explanation of the slides for that particular section. When that gets over, the next section begins. The pattern is repeated. Key concepts, learning objectives, slides and key points explanation, training tips, explanation of each of those slides. Is that clear?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, very clear. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, with that, we should be able to go and proceed to the hand goals, which is the introduction section. Okay, when we take the introduction section, the outline and activities will be in one part of the training manual, and the others will be in another section of the trainer's manual. We know that already. Now, let me. Was this a homework? Had Tim asked you to do this as a homework? Filling out the trainer candidates packet. Have you opened the trainer candidates packet yet? Crystal had sent the trainer's manual and the trainer candidates packet. Do you have a booklet which is called as the trainer candidates packet, a small one? Yes, I think Mary, few pages, right? Yeah, you got it right. Yes, that's the one. Yes, Beatrice has got that. Trainer candidates packet. Crystal, you have it, right?
Yeah, I've sent it to everybody.
Okay. Robert, Temple, Levison, Brown, do you have the trainer candidates packet?
I have it here on my laptop.
Yes, I have it here. Yes.
Okay. So now is the time for us to open the trainer candidates packet. What you see on the first page of the trainer candidates packet? Introduction. And you see a lot of blank boxes there.
Yes, that's right.
And that is our responsibility to fill out these blank boxes. So we will begin with introduction. Okay, we will do it together. And then, when we finish doing introduction, maybe we will do question 1, 2, 3, 4 as homework. We'll see how it goes. When the time is up, we will stop. Till then, we'll keep going. So let's go to the introduction section in your trainer candidates packet. Now, permit me to open that. Give me some time to open the trainer candidates packet. Okay, now I'm ready to screen share the trainer candidates packet, and we should move together. Okay, this is the trainer candidates packet. And you have this page open. Now, look at this. It's organized in the exact manner that we talked. Outline and activities, learning objectives, potential problems doesn't have a page number because it's not in the trainer's manual, and training tips has a page number. So, outline, what would you write there from what we have discussed? What, just in your mind, how will you write the outline?
Like we said, all the headings, If you look at all the headings.
If you look at all the headings, you can easily write the outline. When it comes to activities, there is some work to do when it comes to the activities. Because if it was just 1.1, 1.2, 1.2, but this knowledge is again divided into 7 blocks. So there is a mixed activity. Then there is a filter. Is there a sound?
I can't hear you.
You can hear me? This is because something has gone wrong with my laptop and it's making some noise. Let me stop in 2 seconds so we can continue. Yeah, it stopped. Now can you hear me, Beatrice?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what's wrong with that, but the fan makes some sound. Yeah. So when we look at the activities, we have to write the purpose and the procedure for each of those activities. So writing the activity is not simple. There's a little thinking that we have to do. It's not in the trainer's manual, but each of us will write what we think is the purpose of the activity and the procedure on how to do the activity. Okay. So 3 things to write in the activity: purpose and procedure. And then there is the introductory activity. These are the activities and the purpose and the procedure. That's a little bit of thinking that we need to do. Why are we doing this? This column is learning objectives, page 48. But will you just copy the sentences that are there, or would you like to just think about it and write the learning objectives on your own? If that's too much, you can look at page 48. You don't have to copy it as it is. Just pick up the ones you think are more relevant. You don't have to write the sentences exactly as they are. Just read and write what you have understood. If it's long sentences, please don't try to copy everything that's on page 48. Pick up the ones that you feel are very relevant and also write in your own sentences. Some sentences are very easy. You can just write it like that. But some that are too long, you don't have to copy it word by word. Just understand what it means and write it in your own sentence. So that's what is expected in learning objective. Potential problem will be, you can try to write some potential problems of what will be the problems when I will teach introduction. What are some of the problems? Oh, people are all strangers. So it takes some time for people to connect. People may not talk. So the trainer will find it very difficult when no one is talking. So those are kind of, and then, you may even say, like I may find it very difficult to explain the partnership portion because I really haven't understood. So these problems are problems as a trainer when we teach what are the potential problems. When we teach, there may be someone may take extra time. Then the other person doesn't have time to teach. They would have prepared for 10 minutes and the other person spoke for all their time and they only have 5 minutes. So how can you condense 10 minutes preparation and then quickly adapt and speak all of that in 5 minutes? So that's potential problem. Training tips are also in page numbers are given there. But once again, we don't have to copy all of them. And we just have to pick up, okay, what is relevant? What is a relevant training tip? And write down the training tips here. So it's a blank sheet, but what we're trying to do through the trainer's training is the trainer understands the outline, the trainer understands the activities, trainer understands the learning objectives, the potential problem, and the training tips. So have we understood question introduction which will be the purpose behind doing this. Have I understood? Am I ready to teach introduction is what you need to keep in mind. Not just fill out the blank or not just present it and finish my turn of presenting. That shouldn't be the purpose. The purpose is, are we all prepared to teach introduction section? Now, let me just stop sharing and show you one example of how it is done, and then we can proceed from there. I'm just getting ready to show you how that is filled out, and then okay. Now this is typed, but you can also feel free to write because you have the hard copy. This is all typed. If you look at the outline, these are the points that were bold and highlighted, but it's all written. Activities in introduction are 2. Now, what is the purpose of introductions? The first activity is participants and trainers introduce themselves. So we are asking, what is the purpose? To create a sense of community and a safe learning environment. That is the purpose of that activity. And what is the procedure? Introduction of trainers and participants. Second activity, introductory activity, faith in healthcare. What is the purpose? To help participants reflect on their views. And how do we do? 3 minutes of personal reflection using the questionnaire, 5 minutes of sharing, praying together. This is the procedure. This is how you write when you do question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the pattern we follow. Learning objective, page 48 has all the learning objectives, but it's probably not in the same wording, but the meaning is the same. It may not have, if it's listed, if there are 8 learning objectives listed on page 48, we haven't copied all of them, but some that are relevant and in different words. So that's what is written here. Potential problems. Introductions and international section can be too long, skipping of slides, a beginning that is rushed instead of engaging. And as Tim was telling us, sometimes the projector doesn't work, and so you lose a lot of time there. And difference of opinion or pressure in discussion about faith and healthcare. These are some potential problems. And training tips are also given on page 50. Now, can we try filling out the columns for introduction just by looking at these page numbers? Can we try that for the next few months? We'll try just the outline on the activity. Can you hear me? Okay, we'll just try the outline on the activity. Let's go to the outline of introduction section. Introduction section, outline. What is the page number for outline introduction section?
Page 36.
Sorry, Rata, we can hear you with problems.
Sorry?
Your sound is no longer that audible. I think the fan is back.
Yes, the fan is back. Yeah, now it's gone. So I'm opening the trainer candidates packet. We can all do this together. Outline. Okay. If we open page 48, which is the outline for introduction section, what would you say is the outline for introduction? Can you tell me from page 48? I told you it's bold and underlined. Beatrix.
It's on page 36. Sorry, Lata.
I wrote enthusiastic welcome, get to know each other, willingness to share about yourself.
Okay, so let me just write that. I know what you said, Crystal, the page number is wrong, but let me just write it. What is the page number?
36 I had.
36. On this it is wrong.
But the one with the slide, this one has it too. That's 48.
That is 48. Okay, that's probably where this is wrong. So forgive me for that. Let's ignore that page number for 48. Let's say be on page 36. Now Beatrix is going to give us the outline. Please give us the outline, Beatrix.
I read enthusiastic welcome.
Okay. Welcome.
Get to know each other.
Get to know each other.
And myself, share about myself.
Is that, is there all those details there? Or?
Maybe I just put it, but introduce one another.
Okay.
That's on there.
Yeah, so you just have to read the heading.
Headings, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, welcome introduction and overview of IHS. Is that
okay. Yes.
Partnership and saline process. So partnership, introduction of core principles. Introduction to the 5 questions. No, that's this what you meant, the title.
So I think that is clear. So Beatrix, you understood how to get this, right?
Yeah, I'm getting it.
And I think everybody understood that. Okay. Now, introduction. So can somebody else do the purpose?
I just put for the purpose, the trainer to be introduced and to create a safe space for the purpose.
Create safe space. Okay. Now, procedure. I mean, I'm not writing everything, but you can write whatever you like. Just for time's sake, I'm just writing one point that you said. Procedure. Procedure.
To give an overall of subject, an introduction to who we are, and give the introduction to the questions 1 to 5.
Oh, this activity is the introduction where people are introducing themselves. It's not introduction to the 5 questions. It's like people are saying where are they from, what's their name, So that is the activity that is mentioned here. So it's trainers and participants introducing themselves.
So how we do it depends on how big the group is.
Yes.
If it's only a few, then everybody can say something.
Yeah. So that's when people can say something. And as you prepare to do the training, this section, like for example, Mary, you're going to introduce the participants and the trainers. Then you have a plan. You have a procedure on how you're going to do it. Okay, I'm going to ask them these 3 questions. Where are you from? What is your area of work or occupation? Which department do you work? And then you're going to ask, what is your expectation from this training? So you are going to say in procedures, I'll ask them 3 questions and ask them to introduce. Ask each person to introduce themselves by answering these 3 questions. So you understood the procedure. So it's going to be different when we do with different groups of people, depending on the group. Sometimes if there are 100 people, you just say, who are the people from Malawi? Please stand up. And you welcome. Then you ask, okay, who are the people from Ireland? Would you please stand up? And then you just welcome them. So you won't go name by name. But a general procedure is the trainers and the participants introduce themselves. Okay? Now, faith in healthcare. The 7 statements that we say agree, disagree, or uncertain. How would we do that? What is the purpose of that activity? Agree, disagree, strongly disagree.
It's to encourage the participants to take part.
Yeah, encourage the participants to take part. And we also want to set the tone for the training, right? We're going to talk about being a witness. So we want to set the tone. We want to bring them to, okay, every patient needs to hear. It's not only the clergy. I need to go beyond the physical. So you're setting the tone for the course so that kind of doing this reflection, but we're also setting the tone for the whole course.
Also.
And the procedure is a questionnaire and discussion. There is a questionnaire, and they are going to look, they're going to mark whether they agree, disagree, or strongly agree, and then you're going to discuss as a large group. Or you can even write large group discussion. It's time for us to conclude. So I won't go and do all this learning objectives. I believe you have understood where to look for that from page 48. Can we look at one of the learning objective on page 48? One objective, learning objective on page 48.
So number 1 on page 48 says, recall the core principles of the saline process training.
Yeah. Recall the core
principles of the saline process training.
Okay. Okay. So that's one learning objective. But you see there are many more learning objectives. So as a trainer, when you're teaching, you want to be sure that when you finish teaching the introduction, the participants have understood the core principles of the saline process training. And do you know what the core principles are of the saline process training? There are two core principles of the saline process training. One is on being a witness, and the second one is on the faith journey. Basically, that's what we're teaching. That's the only thing we're teaching in the saline process training. On being a witness and journey of faith. Being a witness and journey of faith. So if we have made that clear in the introduction section, then we can be happy. Because they won't remember everybody's name. They won't remember where they are from. They won't remember their expectation. They may not fully remember the partnership, but they may remember to a certain extent. But you definitely want them to remember the core principles, being a witness and journey of faith. And when we finish the introduction. Now, let's just do one training tip. And training tip is on page 50. Someone else can just read one training tip. Just the heading.
Create a welcoming environment, a positive atmosphere in the community.
Okay, positive atmosphere. So it depends on the trainer's mood. Every training will depend on the trainer's mood. If the trainer is enthusiastic, the participants easily, get connected. But if the trainer is nervous and frightened and not able to speak, then the participants also will be quiet and waiting. And so we have to pray that before we go, we have the power of the Holy Spirit, the enthusiasm and the passion, so that we speak with power. And they just connect. Potential problem is being nervous, no connection with participants. All those are potential problems while teaching the introduction. Now, so that was a sample introduction. I hope it's not too difficult for you to do the question 1, 2, 3 for next week. I am thinking this week we were supposed to finish up to question 2. But as Tim said, there's no point in finishing up to question 2 without us really understanding what we're doing. That's why I spent a little time on explaining to you where is the outline and activity and where is the learning objective training and the training tool, so that when you go and you work on question 1, it's not going to be difficult for you. You will be able to do that very quickly. So would you be able to do that for the other questions, maybe questions 3 or 4 or 5? Do as many as you can. If you find up to 3 is done, that is good. Try up to page or question 5. But if that's too much, then we can ask Tim, yeah, Mary, that's fine. Thank you very much. So you know the homework, right? Yeah. So is that okay? That will be a homework. And when we meet, I think we will be asked, one person will be asked to do question 1, one will be asked to do question 2, but who's going to do which, I'm not sure. So all of us can be ready with all the questions, and one of us will be asked to do question 1 and the other person question 2. But when one is presenting, the others can correct or contribute, add, delete, share your ideas, thoughts, all that we can do when we next week. So next week is pretty simple. There is no lecture. It will all be the trainer candidates doing question by question. So Crystal, that's all for today. We went 4 minutes past our time. So
that was wonderful, Lota. Thank you so much. For the first time, I understood it previously as well, but now that you go slowly over it, it's more clearer. And it becomes like part of you. So thank you very much. That's really brilliant.
Thank you, Crystal. I'm glad you all understood. And I'm so happy that all of you started with the outline and someone shared the activity. So I was getting a feedback. Okay, people have understood. It's time to stop.
You make us excited, like you said, If you're excited, the rest of the people will be. So you make us excited.
Yes. Okay. Great. So who would like to close in prayer? Robert, since you are unmuted, would you kindly close in prayer?
All right. Thank you very much. Let us pray. Our Father, in the name of Jesus Christ, we want to thank you and bless you. We want to thank you, Father, for this opportunity given to us that we could as well go again in this session and to learn from you. Father, I want to thank you for our mentors, our trainers, and also for all of us as participants listening and learning in this course as we are in the process of being helped and being trained and mentored to be trainers that will also be able to train others. Father, I pray in Jesus' name that you continue to help us and to give us that understanding that, Lord, as you, through this process, we will be able and will come out people that will be able to train others. We thank you. We bless you that even now as we break from this training, Father, you will continue to be with us as we go through the materials, but also as we prepare for the next meeting. May you be with us all. May you guide all of us. And all of us, oh God, in the name of Jesus Christ, I've prayed. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
So let's complete the homework so that we can catch up in the next session and walk through all of those things that we couldn't do. Let's try and do questions 1 to 5 because we have 3 hours next week to discuss that.
Yes, thank you, Lata. Thank you so much. Now we can do the homework.
That was the whole idea.
Yeah. Maybe now I can do the question 1.
You can start choosing which question to take.
So that's a magic. We won't say that because then we will only focus on the question that we need to do.
All right. All questions. All right, bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, Brown. Bye, Robert. Bye, Tembo.
Thank you.
Bye, Mona.
Bye.